and Rocha from Moonactive. He's also my colleague. No, I'm going to be at the corner. You guys can be here. And we're going to talk about the mobile game art career handbook. So I have a few questions about the industry and working in mobile games from the career perspective and also production. But during these 45 minutes, if you also have some questions, you can also maybe do it toward the end or interrupt me and then we can take up those questions. Okay. All right, so first of all, so nice to have both of you. I mean, it feels a bit weird because 4 days we have been going on together and now we are suddenly in the stage talking and lots of people listening. Yeah, you're one.
Hello. Yeah, mine is working, but no. Did you touch on something?
No.
Did you pay the bill?
So, hey. All right. Now it's working. Okay, so my first question is about, because you both are leads and I'm sure you are involved in hiring, you are looking at portfolios, and portfolios specifically when it comes to art, it's a bit confusing because there are some portfolio which are very diverse for every kind of industry, like animation, illustration, stuff like this, and then there are some focus on games. So I want to understand from you, how do you screen portfolios when you receive, and what are the kind of like first signals that you see from any portfolio, which gives you a lot of confidence about the artist fit for game industry and working for example, in your case for the UI fit, and in your case for the art, like you may have people who are from the graphic design or web design background, tons of websites in their portfolio. So what's your first hook which gives you more confidence about their fit for working for the gaming industry? You want to start?
Yeah. First of all, hello everyone. I'm super glad to be here. It's a great opportunity to be in this panel. Well, regarding this question, I think there are a bunch of things that you can look in the portfolio. But I feel the first thing that hooked me when looking at the portfolio. Hello? Okay. The first thing that usually hooked me when looking at the portfolio is about process. Because we artists, we are used to, we want to put in our portfolio those best images, pretty well rendered, everything polished. But actually those images are pretty good to be there, to show the range of your skills. But keeping just those type of image, it doesn't communicate how is your thought process. How you get into that image. What were the ideas, the challenges? So when looking at a portfolio, for me particularly, it's important to see these kind of process expressed in sketches, experimentation, research. Research is like a key part of the process of creating content. So when looking at the portfolio, and when I see those kind of things, I feel more confident, understanding that these candidate, these artists, she or he does care about the big picture instead of trying just to kind of show off just their skills.
What about you, Alvaro? How do you distinguish especially a UI portfolio?
Yeah, so I have to say that you stole my answer, so now you stole my answer. So again, so yeah, I will say that it could be somehow the same. It's more to know about the projects, if in my case, if you do wireframing, how you get the final point of the visual. But on top of that, I would say that the first thing that helped me in a portfolio is, again, the visual. How I feel as the first shot. Because sometimes I see some kind of ordered portfolios that is quite difficult to look at some point. So as I have a graphic design background, I like the portfolios that are ordered. You can see in a first look that this is something. Because if you don't have that hook at the beginning, it's quite difficult to go into further. Things that as we are a lead, we have to check tons of portfolio. So if you create that engage at the beginning, it will be easier for us to go through all these different things that you want to share. And for me as well, Kshiraj, that is something that is not common for the artists or for the candidates. For me, it's important of course, in my discipline, to create your own brand. Because I know that some of the people use DeviantArt, Dribble, or some of these kind of platform, but to buy your own domain is so cheap. And you can create your own brand. You can create your little logo, as I commented in my presentation, you create that feeling of cohesiveness as you are creating your own brand. But because by then, the thing that you are trying to apply, if sell yourself. So for me, it's something quite important. To finish, in terms of UI, sometimes less is more. I prefer to have only 4 projects, very well explained, with a good visual, all the process, instead of having tons of things. For sure, to be focused on the thing that you are looking for. If you are looking for a UI position, don't add 2D, animation, etc.
Exactly. If I can add on top of it, no, I can. But it's something that it's common to happen, and considering that we are talking with like a major part of the audience being artists that wants to join the industry or that are already in the industry. But it's important to align your portfolio with the project or the companies that you're applying for, because it's usually to happen. For example, if you're trying to, let's say you saw that there's a role in a casual game, like a match 3 game or like a merge game or whatever, and you got interested and you applied, but your portfolio is quite realistic in terms of style. Maybe you have like some background in, I don't know, comics or even fine arts, like, you know, like something that is more in that sense. So it's important before applying for any role to align your portfolio so you can convey and you can connect pretty much more with these roles.
Got it. And I have a question about, especially now not getting hired, but progressing in your career. So as we know, like working for games, even as an artist, it's not just about having the luxury of being an artist alone, where you're drawing and painting or making 3D. It comes with lots of like organizing, leadership, management, so much more. So what are the signals and how should someone pick up in their career that it might make more sense for them to progress into a hands-on expertise kind of role forever versus something more focused on, I'm going to go into leadership and management? Like, how should they determine, like, should there be some sort of clues in the way they work or what they like, dislike? Like, how do people make choices of these? You want to start, Alvaro?
Yeah, I can. So it's quite a difficult question because sometimes you are not following any specific path. So you all of a sudden just find it and decided to follow that one. It was my case. That I wasn't expecting to be a lead, but in that time somebody asked me for that, so yeah, let's go. So in my case, I don't have any specific clue. the things that, depending on the thing that you want to do, try to do your best every day. You will have that kind of opportunities, and you can choose whatever thing you like the most.
Again, adding on top of that, I think it's important to be true with yourself and align your expectations, because, for example, going toward like a more leadership kind of path, it will put you in a position where you will need to spend more time between meetings, creating documents, giving feedback to your team and things like that. So you need to understand that, because in the end of the day, you need to keep yourself motivated. And if those kind of things don't give you this motivation, better to switch to the other path. Obviously, there are pros and cons in both paths, but you need to always ask yourself if you're happy with what you are doing.
I would like to add, Kshiraj, sorry. It's important to don't be afraid of any kind of new opportunity, because sometimes happen that somebody asks you for a new role, but you are not confident about yourself. I may have to say that at least try, because maybe you are, because of that lack of confidence, you are losing some kind of good opportunity. So, for instance, in my case, in the project I was asked about be a lead, I was concerned about skills and all this kind of thing, but I decided to at least try. I'm really happy now with my role, so I will say that.
And both of you are leads, so how do you balance this situation of hands-on versus non-art-based tasks? It could be even sometimes when you're just giving directions and feedback, and even more like, I don't know, if you're involved with people development, talent development, things related to solving problems for people, motivation. Is that something that also comes under the way? And especially like, do you personally take hands-on tasks on your own end, which you are committing to that, I'll be creating those assets? Or is it more about delegating to do the work to the team, and your involvement is more about saving the day, or if there's some problem, then giving some contribution and work, but not really like assigning work for yourself?
Well, in my case, I can benefit of having like a different kind of workflow, because I work at Moon Active. Moon Active is based in Tel Aviv, but I work from Brazil, so it's pretty much different, the time zone. So what I do is I wake pretty earlier in the morning, like I start my work at 5 a.m. and in the next 4 hours I have like a window overlap with the other artists, including you, that I can concentrate all my meetings, all the things that it's more kind of the management side. And then I keep like 2-3 hours in the end of my day, because no one is around. Everyone went to home, went to bed or whatever. So then I can organize this time to be more hands-on. I mean, I've been trying not to be hands-on as like a concept artist or things like that, just only in more critical situations. But I do use this time to maybe work on some visual feedback, some paint overs, things like that, to have everything prepared for the next day. So next day, everyone will have like in their Slack or in their mail or whatever, the feedbacks already, because some of the artists, for example, we have an artist that works from Vietnam, so it's almost like 24 hours the difference of me, so I can leave everything prepared for him to start his day. So yeah, basically that I can split in 2 parts.
What about you, Alvaro? How much of hands-on do you get now?
Yeah, it's almost the same without having the problem that you are on the another time zone because we have in Skopje we have an office in Seville, and is when we have the most of the artists for Monopoly Go, so the most of the team is living over there. So I took advantage of the time in the office to give feedback directly to them, while I have to assist some of the meeting. My average time is attending meetings, checking GDDs, creating wireframes with the UX team, again as well, taking care of the team, because in our project, the leads, we are manager as well. So we have the one-on-one with the team to take care of them, to have them, to take care of the career path. From time to time, I have to do some hands-on work, just in case, some holidays happen or some we need to fix some problem. Because the thing that I like is to delegate things to my team, to let them grow. I only design things if they don't have time or if we need to resolve something quick, because I have my expertise. But otherwise, I will then do the work.
All right. And if I look at the overall game art kind of function, we can broadly classify it into art, UI, and animation. I'm keeping, for example, tech art away and thinking more of that from the developer side. So usually, how does it go according to you or in your teams about the shared responsibilities between art, UI, and animation when coming up with like a new feature? Would there be ideas coming from all the three functions, and then you mutually agree that, yeah, this can probably make the whole feature come out pretty well? Or is it more driven by a concept coming from someone and then everyone following it? Like, is UI getting done first, like a wireframe or even like a pop-up, and then the artists follow the real estate area? So basically describe me a bit on how these three functions are supporting each other and eventually result in something coming out as a singular piece, a really good one.
Yeah,
maybe.
Art, UI, and
animation,
animation,
yeah.
right? So the thing that we did at the beginning of any kind of feature, we had this kickoff meeting with all the production team. After that, all the artists, we create a brainstorming session to be aligned with everything. Because as we showed before, in my case, at the beginning, we create the layout as the base for the 2D artists, and then we create all the rules for the animation team. So since the beginning of that idea, in my case, we work together with the UX team to be sure that we understood all the functions that we need in any kind of feature, and then we start the creative process involving all the different disciplines. Because it's really important that in this kind of size project, a big project, the communication is very important. So I will say that over-communicating is the thing that we need to do to don't lose any point. So we create the base, we work together with the 2D artists, and we create the base and all the rules that animation team needs to follow.
Andre, what are your thoughts on balancing this work?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much similar. Usually we get some requirements from, for example, from product team, like how they envision a specific feature or promotion or things like that. So I think the natural flow of work. I think the natural flow of work is that, like, we have first like a discussion with the UI and UX team, because that's really important, and like UI artists are really quite important in the project, because they will set all the rules for how the player will interact with this feature, this pop-up or whatever element in the game. So from that we can start to use the art team to start to develop the art needed for this thing. and then like the animation. But yeah, basically that the communication is pretty important between these teams to have everything set up.
I would like to add, Kshiraj, but this process, depending on the feature, because for example, some of the features that I showed before, some small pop-up and that's all, is enough. But during the process of the creation of the flash event, we needed to include the tech artists as well on this conversation, because we were going to need some kind of special different layers to animate the UI, and they need to create all the box element and etc. As well, the connection with animation was important because we needed to prepare, in that case, the PSD from the artist in the different folders to be exported by the tech artists to support the animation for that matters.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention, well, we are not putting TA, like the technical artists, in this thing, but we as artists, and I think it's really important, when you're doing a concept, you're not doing a concept for yourself. You know, you have to understand the whole cycle of things, who is before you, who is after you, and also like when it goes to implementation, like there is like device performance issues. So there are a lot of things that we need to consider when doing that. For example, if you're will develop a 3D game, like a live 3D game, you have to consider the low poly count, those kind of things, and it will directly affect the way that you concept your ideas. You know, maybe because of like lacking of experience, you will create a character for a game and you put like a ton of polygons there that it will be impossible to use. So having those elements, also UI and all the other disciplines in your mind, it's important because then it will create some constraints where you will need, know how to develop what is on your table.
One question in continuity to how you're describing it, like mobile game industry, the way development is taking place, the changes are very rapid and strategies are changing, and the sizes of the team, like sometimes a lot of studios are preferring smaller sizes in the team, the developer team, so that teams are more together. And in these kind of situations, what kind of growth should someone look into, where they should think about trying to be more generalist, or should they think about considering into specializing on something? So, for example, in your case, with the art kind of production work, Andre, you prefer people who are able to do a mix of pretty much everything. They can ideate by themselves, they can come up with the concept sketches and even maybe make something in 2D and make something game ready. And in your case, Alvaro, like from the UI perspective, would you say someone with clarity on UX, even like wireframing, in the beginning of a feature, they can create the architecture themselves, or even like be more onto a bit of implementation side and knowing how to at least like structure their file and make it ready from, I don't know, optimizing as well as like making the buttons flexible. Like, is there something where the laser beam mentality versus like a more like a spread out spotlight kind of mentality? How does the skill set goes here? Andre, you want to start?
Yeah, okay.
No, whatever.
Well, I think both type of artists are important in the team, as I see. For example, there are artists that are more generalists. In our team, we have like some situations like that. For example, artists that started as 2D artists, but they like were super proactive in starting learning 3D, and now like they managed to create, for example, some concepts and like start blocking some 3D, or even do like some pretty good 3D models to be used in the game. But sometimes you need like someone that is more like specialist, because maybe like the generalist will struggle a bit about like how to set up the lightings, how like do shaders, how to implement like as I said, for example, do the low poly thing, unwrap the texture, those kind of things are super required. So now from the artist point of view, I think again it's about like expectations, right? Like obviously when it goes to being a generalist, you will have the experience to work with different things. You know, maybe if you're like a specialist in characters, you will do characters for a long, long journey. You know, like, but in case you feel that you can collaborate more with your team besides your stronger skill, I think you can little by little start to show being proactive. As I said, like these artists in the team that started to learn 3D, wanted to collaborate more than 2D. So it's up to you to understand what is the path that makes you more happy.
Got it. And before we get the answer from Alvaro, I probably wrongly explained on the UI question because I believe some amount of wireframing and implementation is anyways needed. But when I talk about UI generalists, maybe I would like to know that are there also people who can maybe even do a bit of art, for example?
Yeah, I understand that.
When you have stuff like that.
On top of that, Andre was commenting. Firstly, I would like to say that it's depending of the place you are working on or working with, because maybe a generalist could be so cool for a small studio. I will say that at the beginning of an artist career path, it could be a good idea to be kind of a bit of generalist because you can touch everything, as Andre commented, to be focused on the thing that you like the most. One example that I always give, my background is a graphic designer, so I was doing web for so long. I was prototyping, I was designing the UI and was implementing because I used to do CSS and HTML. In fact, I was doing WordPress for many, many years. So I had that knowledge that is very important as well to make your process better for the end goal. But in my case, the thing that I look for when I look for the profiles is that for sure be a specialist in UI, because in this kind of big projects, we have all the specialization for the specific roles because of the size for sure. But if you have some of UX knowledge, it's very cool because at the beginning of all the features and at the beginning of the creation of the game, you will work closely with the UX team. So you can ask questions, you can work closely with them, pursuing the same goal. And if you have some of the, in all projects it's important, if you have some kind of 2D skill, because as I commented, we are doing very great work on doing logos, adding this brand, this special view to everything that we are doing in the game. So it's also so cool to have this kind of skill set to add more benefits to our role. It's depending of the project for sure.
Got it. And I'm going to ask you, Alvaro, like, what are the common mistakes which artists make when they are working for games in general or mobile games? Like, what are the things that you think are blockers in order to correctly work with them or in this industry?
Yeah. One thing that I commented during my presentation, so one of the mistakes that artists does is that sometimes they only like to art, do concepts or .ui and they don't play the game. So it's really important that you play your game to have the point of view of the user. So as everything is about the user, is try to convey them the perfect things and make them happier and give them a satisfactory experience, is one of the most important things for me, because it gives you that knowledge and it helps you to make the things better and focus it as well on the product, not only on the art itself. And the other thing that I will let them know is if some of you are artists, let's try. Don't be shy, try everything, work on personal projects. because sometimes you don't have the opportunity of you are in a project that maybe you don't like. So finish your work, take your computer, and do personal stuff. Because on that way you can grow as well. You will have more things to show to others.
Dre?
Yeah, I think. Oh, can you repeat the question, please? Just
So the common mistakes
oh, the
people
common
make.
mistake. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, I think Alvaro covered pretty well that sometimes some artists they struggle a bit to understand that in the end of the day the game is a product, right? Like we are working for companies and these games they need to be profitable, and to be profitable they have to kind of follow some rules, like some standards rules from the industry. So that's why when working at a company and a studio, you have to keep it in mind. And I think what Alvaro said is quite important. Sometimes, obviously, we are artists. We want to do our own thing, right? Like I like to do, I don't know, maybe I have like a really specific kind of style. Maybe I like to do something. It's a really good idea to keep you motivated and like showing your skills while collaborating with the game. I mean, I'm not saying that like you should be unhappy doing your work. Actually, you need to find like this happiness in your daily job as well. But keeping that it's a product. The game has goals. There's like a lot of people involved in the decisions and not just you. You have to consider the whole picture, the UI, the implementation, things like that. So if you have it aligned in your mind, you will feel that like, okay, I'm doing like my work here, and I'm happy with that. Even if I don't have like everything as I like, but maybe what you like will not be profitable, right? So yeah.
One thing which I want to understand from artistic perspective is what are the differences and pros and cons of working for an indie studio versus like a bigger company? Is there anything that you want to highlight, like how do artists feel versus working here versus there? What are the goods and bads?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah, because I'm lucky because I work for a small studio. I'm not working for a big company. So as I commented previously, I joined the company 11 years ago, but at that time we were a small studio based in Seville. During the Tuscany Villa project, we were bought by Scopely in 2020. After some time with Tuscany Villa, I joined Monopoly Go team, right? So during that time when we were working as a small studio, I have to say that everything is cool. The both sides have cool things, because at that time we were working in the first creation process of Tuscany Villa. For sure, that time the time was no rush. We were more relaxed. We were working with a small process, not with a lot of feedback process, a lot of back and forth, but on the opposite of working on a big company, you have more opportunities, you work with more people. The main difference that we realized is that during the process of Tuscany Villa as a small studio, for us, it was very difficult to bring talent to our project. But if you are working for a big company, it's easier because you have that hook. So when we became a big studio, the good thing with us is that previously I was working with friends, and the most of the friends keep working with me. So I have the benefits of working with friends to have that confidence while I'm working in a big company with a amount benefits, with a really cool culture tenets, with a great career path.
Yeah, I can say about like working in a small company because like before Monactive I've worked at Rovio, which is like a big company as well. But I can say about like working in a small project. For example, at Rovio I started working in a small project called Angry Birds Tennis, and we were like internally we were about like 5 people or something like that. We had an outsourced studio handling some art production. And nowadays, the project that I'm working now, unfortunately, I can't share too much about it, but it's a big team. And the thing is that, as Alvaro said, like you can feel about like when you're in a small studio, I feel that you have like or a small project, you have a little bit more freedom, especially if it's like a project in development compared to like a live project, right? Like a live project, you have almost everything settled. Like the design system is there, like there are a bunch of materials that you had before you. But the thing is, like when you're in a small studio or a small project, you feel more having more freedom to explore, to try ideas. So you feel more like having the property of that process. And in the big studio, you will see like your work being split in so many different tracks, like having to be reviewed to so many people. So it's a different thing. Besides all the things that Alvaro said about like benefits and things like that. Yeah.
Great. We are a bit short on time, and I want to give the opportunity for people to also have lunch before their next sessions. So I'd like to stop here. I don't know that once we are done talking, when we look at this, all of them are already empty. So if there are any questions here which anyone would like to ask, and then we'll start to wrap up. So yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for the great session. Just wanted to ask, while selecting portfolios, does sometimes personal bias regarding a favorite art style come into play, and how do you avoid it so that you can hire the good artist for the project?
Mayank, you will have to. The echo on this side is a bit weird for some reason.
I'm asking like.
Yeah, maybe you will have to come to.
It wasn't.
All right. So I'll repeat the question here. Great question, by the way.
Yeah.
When we are hiring, does any kind of personal bias come into play based on a specific style of portfolio from someone?
I could say no, at least for me. Like I always try to look through the portfolios. Oh, sorry. I always prefer to look at the portfolios from the perspective of the game and the game's need. So if I'm working in, for example, at Rovio I had the opportunity to work in quite different games. One was the game, the Angry Birds Tennis, which is like a casual arcade kind of sport game. And then I worked in a 4X game called Hardhead Squad. Those two games have like a pretty different kind of visuals. At that time I was not in the role to look at portfolios, but if I was, I would say that like I would look from that perspective. Like, okay, this portfolio will be helpful in this game. Like, it has like all the besides the process that I said, like it has the potential to fit in this style in this game, and on the flip side as well, like for the 4X project, I would require someone that manages a little bit more something a little bit more stylized, but more toward the realism, like conserving the more common anatomy, or having references to draw and create military vehicles, things like that. So yeah, for me it's like based on each project.
Yeah, for me it's the same. I commented previously, it's not only I like this and I don't like that. So we are focused on looking for the best person that fit in our game. It's important to let you know that we have as well this test process. So even we decided to go for some of the candidates, we send them a test to have the final confirmation that they are valuable for the role. Because it's happened to me sometimes that I could see some good thing in some of the candidates. After doing the test, it was a yes. The opposite thing happened as well, that I saw a very strong portfolio, very cool designer, etc., but they didn't pass the test. So it's important as well.
Anyway, over there.
I think it's better.
I think you.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, small word.
Hello?
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask, like in the creative process, so how do you decide the name and logo for the game? Is it derived or driven from the concept, or let's say for the sake of SEO? So how do you come up with the name of the game? And
yeah, for me it's easy, Monopoly Go, that's all. So I don't know for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I didn't have the chance to get involved on the game's name. I mean, a little bit in the current game that I cannot say. I cannot share.
I think I can share a bit of insight from working in the past and stuff like this. It's there's no one way specifically. It depends on the team culture. Sometimes, like within the team, you get an opportunity to recommend something based on the whole universe in a singular word that can serve as. Mostly the criteria is to come up with something that will be catchy and people can remember and distinguish, but while also respecting the function of the game. But hey, there are tons of examples which are also successful and they may have no relation, but they just sensibly work. As far as the real people involved on this decision making, it's mostly the GM, the product team. There is also, like from the marketing standpoint, we get a perspective whether is this something, can we market based on this? There's also legal that makes an evaluation. The legal departments make evaluation based on, are there any competitive game that we will have trouble with if we go with a specific name like this? Then there's also like, they also look from the cultural fit, if this title can offend someone. So there are lots of check boxes which most of the companies generally look into, which go on the decision. But people get the chance within the team, like we get asked, would you like to recommend a name, and we make submission. So.
But once, one thing to add, once the name is selected, I think then maybe the art can contribute a little bit more. For example, bringing to the logo some elements that exist in the game universe. So because it's quite important to have the logo quite related to the game itself, right? So maybe Alvaro, you have something.
Yeah, it's mainly the branding thing that I were commenting. In the case that Monopoly Go, the project that I'm working now, is quite really direct. So we have a Monopoly logo, the Go that we create that contrast. We are keeping the branding of Monopoly, but we are adding to the logo this kind of emotion on that side, applying using the yellow gold color to follow the wellness we want to convey. But coming back to my previous project, Tuscany Villa, I'm on top of my friend are talking about because in that time the GM, the product team and the marketing team was involved on the selection of the name. We create some different profiles in the App Store, doing this kind of research and having the different percentage of what people like and what people don't. And the first thing that we decided was the theme. So in that time, we were thinking about making a math-free game, and the numbers revealed that the people was more interested in a theme based in the Tuscany, in that region in Italy. So on that time, we had the main concept of the brand, and we started to create all the elements and all the things that we want to convey. So we create this kind of map, the brainstorming with all these ideas. We decided the name because, as she had commented, it's pretty straightforward. Tuscany Villa. It's important as well to check internet just in case there are some kind of culture problem, or if the domain that you want to have is already booked. After all these things, we started the process of doing the brand of the game, involving UX, involving UI, and involving art. Because working on the logo, it will the starting point of the brand in more game, that it will affect all the things that I commented in my presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Super. So, yeah, maybe there are a few more hands. Maybe we can take one question for now, but otherwise we can be available a bit here around. I'll start letting the other people go for food. We can take one. Hey.
Hello. Hi. So you mentioned that adding a hook to a portfolio really elevates the overall strength of the portfolio. Can you give one good example of a strong hook?
One good example
Of a strong hook.
of a strong hook.
In my case, for example, it will be, to have it's like, for example, I think that it's the same. I always say that it could be a very strange, but it's the same thing that when I met my wife for the first time. So you need this kind of something, but in my case, when I look for UI roles, it's this kind of brand thing. So for example, instead of have a small preview of some UI, have the logo of some personal project, and I can see only for the logo because of my expertise for sure, that you are doing something well. So it will hook me to go into that project and to check all the details. So it's the thing that I commented before. If you have maybe some, for example, only 3 projects, but with good logo, with good color, good composition, it will hook me. I will invest a lot of time checking everything and checking inside each part of the different projects that you include in your portfolio.
For me is, for example, if I'm looking for a position as a game artist, and I look at the portfolio and I see a bunch of, like, for example, splash art, illustration, that could look amazing, but what I expect by looking at the portfolio is to find, as I said previously, more of the process. So for example, even if you don't have experience in the game industry, you can even create your own portfolio based on like a fake game or trying to revamp a game. So by doing that, you will understand, like, okay, let's say that you will try to revamp or create like a tower defense kind of game. So okay, then what I expect to see in your portfolio is you developing, like, first starting from the references, the main goals for the game, like what you're expecting to convey about this game, and then going through, like, exploring designs for the towers, exploring like the designs for maybe it will have like some meta in the game. So exploring different things and not just the final piece, not just the final art. The splash screen can be there. You can like include that in a way to show that you're skilled on rendering and those kind of things. But keeping it in mind that you have to show also that you are able to create more than these final pieces. You're able to create like more ideas. In the end of the day, like, we artists, we are problem solvers. So we need to have it in mind, because because day by day you will have like different things to do. Maybe now you have to develop like a new tower for this game, but now you have like to create a pop-up, like a monetization pop-up, where you will have like a specific kind of layout. Then you will have to create something specific to the meta, like something like as a scene or like a map or whatever. So it's important to have it in mind so you can try to work in all these areas in the game. And it's hard to say, oh, but I want to work just with splash screen. Okay, there are a bunch of artists that has like careers based on splash screen. So you have to level your expectation. I will work just with splash screen. That's fine. But if you want to join a game team, it's important that you show more than that.
Amazing. So thumbnails and the hook from the first attraction, so that you want to go through and process. Thank you so much, everyone. And we also have some more panel talks which are around art, some panel conversation. But tomorrow, 10:30 in this hall, we'll have another continuity of the art track. Thank you so much. Have a great lunch, and I'll see you around. Thank you. Thank you, Andre and Alvaro. Let's go for lunch as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you.